you doing, ladies and gentlemen? This is Pastor A, and I'd like to welcome y'all here to this small series. So I had stated in a short that I posed a question to my Bible study class, and that question was, name one word that can kill intimacy. And while you at it, if you know a word that you think that can kill intimacy in a relationship or kill intimacy with God, go ahead and put that in the comments below. So the first word that came up was communication. Now, fellas, let me just put this out here on the table. Communication. If you don't take nothing else from this video, fellas, remember communication is key. Not only in your relationship, but also on every aspect of your life. And effective communication is definitely the foundation for building strong relationships. Also understanding others' perspectives. And what I mean by that is that you understand what the person said, not necessarily what you think you heard, right? So now, in relationships, communication is essential, especially when you're expressing your feelings, resolving conflicts, and most importantly, building trust. I can't tell you how important building trust is, especially with your spouse or the woman that you're dating or want to marry, because women believe in trust. Once trust is gone, that's pretty much it. Now, without effective communication, misunderstanding can take place. This can lead to arguments. This can lead to people's feelings getting hurt. And this is what I mean by understanding what the person said, not necessarily what you heard. And I'm gonna just drop this jewel right here too. One of the most important things of communication is listening. Matter of fact, listening to some people is considered a ministry. You have to be able to know how to listen. That is like an underlying jewel when it comes to communication. When you communicate, this allows each other, the husband, the wife, the person that you're dating, to express their thoughts, their feelings. And again, this helps build that trust and that understanding. Because what happens is when you decide to communicate openly and honestly, then people truly feel like they're being heard. They feel like their words are being valued. And this can strengthen any relationship. And trust is an essential component of the intimacy. So if someone doesn't feel that they can express themselves openly and be honest with you, that kind of kills the intimacy in the relationship. And see, when you do communicate openly and when you do communicate honestly, you're more likely to build trust with each other. So share your thoughts, share your feelings, share your desires with your mate, with your spouse, because this creates a deeper understanding of the both of you. Both of you can understand each other, and this can help strengthen the bond between the two of you. Now, without effective communication, when you don't listen, when you don't ask that question, can you repeat what you said so I can make sure I heard you clearly? Right. This can be difficult in building trust and understanding in a relationship. This can lead to insecurity and uncertainty. And definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, make your intimacy go through. Game over. No intimacy. But I want to check this out. But now I want to look at your communication with God. How often are you in the Word? How often are you in prayer? How often do you spend alone time with Him? And I know you're going to say, well, Pastor A, I go to church and we take communion. Ha ha ha. But to be honest, the word communication comes from the word communion. And communication is just deeper than us talking. It is the key word, commune. Communing is spending time together, growing together, getting to know one another. And what I've seen lately in a lot of relationships, this is a lack. Y'all are quick to rush into a relationship. Like, you'll meet on Monday, you sleep together on Wednesday, Friday you married, and next Tuesday you're divorced. And the problem is you jump into something and you don't even know the person. You don't take the time to commune, to see who they are, to even see if you're a good fit. You don't even commune with God to be like, hey, is this the person for me? It's simple. Now, when it comes to God, we can say it's easy to know who he is. And the reason why you can say that is because God left a whole book to tell us who he was. That book would be the Bible. Because what I can tell you about God, he definitely knows who you are. Just like he said in Jeremiah, he knew us before we was in our mother's womb. David put it this way: we was perfectly and wonderfully stitched together, and we was wonderfully made. All the way down to where Jesus even told you that he knows the numbers of the hairs on your head. But my question to you is, do you know him? And my other question is, how much do he know you? Because Jesus said it this way: on that day, that last day, people are going to say, I did this in your name, and I did that for you, Lord, and I preached, I sung in the choir, and I baptized people. And he's going to say, I don't even know you, because you never took the time to spend time with him. So do you really know him? Do he really know you? And if you don't commune with him, just like if you don't spend time with your spouse, then how can you know him? How can you please him the way you really want to, or how he wants to be pleased, if you don't spend time with him? How can you truly be in line with his word if you don't commune with him, if you don't communicate with him, if you don't spend time with him? Then it's like you're not in your word. Why? Because see, the word tells us who he is. It tells us his entire character, how he moves, how he feels on issues, every issue under the sun, what he loves and what he hates. See, even in Jesus' time, they consider prayer being you talking to God. But they consider that when you read the word, there's two things. Number one, that is the highest form of worship. Number two, they consider when you are in the word that God is talking to you. How can you have a better understanding of God if you lack communication with him? Now, if he told you, you can start building a closer relationship and understanding of who he is by reading his word, how many of us fail in this category? And when you don't spend time with someone, then it's hard to build an emotional connection. Because see, true communication allows those in a relationship to create a deeper emotional connection. And when you can create an emotional connection, this is very key when it comes to intimacy. See, when you commune with your partner, when you commune with your spouse, even when you commune with God openly and it's authentic, then you're more likely to create a deep and emotional connection. And then you are able to express your vulnerabilities. You're able to express your fears and your insecurities. And then your spouse or your loved one, then it can create a sense of an emotional intimacy that can help deepen the relationship. But when you don't communicate, then you become emotionally distant. And when you become emotionally distant, this lack of communication can bring confusion in the relationship, misunderstanding. It can make it rocky. It can make it to the point where when you do try to communicate, you overpowering each other. And then sometimes your lack of communication can be because you fear saying something to this person because you don't know the backlash. You want to talk, but you don't know what to say. You want to say how you feel, but you don't know how to start the conversation, because you never had a conversation in the beginning. And this makes it difficult to have the tough conversations. So without an open and honest communication, it can truly be difficult in a marriage. It can be truly difficult in your relationship with God to develop a deep emotional connection. And this is very key when it comes to intimacy. Because just imagine if you couldn't go to God about how you felt. If you really couldn't tell God how something makes you feel, or what is this, if you couldn't cry out to him, if you couldn't express your emotions to him, as my Jewish friends would say, there wouldn't be any chutzpah. But the thing is, you can if you know what his word says, that you can come boldly to the throne and make your requests known. He said we are his children. Don't you talk to your parents? Don't your kids talk to you? And I mean, like, commune with each other to build a relationship, not just to ask for something, not to treat God like genie in the bottle. Every time you want to speak to him is something you ask, but just to say, Lord, I just want to sit with you. I just want to get to know you better, the way you know me. I want to be able to love you how you love me. Have you ever thought about doing your parents that way? Have you ever thought about allowing your children to come in that way? Because when you have that, then you feel protected, because God said he is our refuge. God said that he is strong when we are weak. Seeing having a lack of communication and communing with God, you miss out on what he says that we have through him through Christ Jesus. And then we wonder why we're struggling and continuously suffering in this spiral life that we have. And it all starts with the lack of communication, whether you're with God and in your marriage. He said we perish for a lack of knowledge. He said you can ask for wisdom and he'll give it to you. But to know these things means that you have to spend time with him. So let's start spending time with God, because the more we can build our relationship with God, the greater our marriage can be, the greater the partnerships we can build, the greater our relationships can be on every level of our life. If we get that relationship correct, if we can commune with him, if we can communicate with him, if we can build intimacy with him, then it's easy to build intimacy everywhere else. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Give us a thumbs up, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Share this to someone who needs to hear. This is Pastor A. I love y'all, and I'm gone.